guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to be giving my opinion and my view on the young Joe Joyce protest, the Free Joe Joyce protest in Belfast that I attended. I got speaking to a lot of people. I'm also going to be talking about my view on the whole situation because I'm getting a lot of mixed comments, and there's a lot of people that I don't think they're understanding the extent of the situation. And I don't actually think that they're understanding the law in this whole situation. But yeah, if you want to, subscribe and ring the bell to the channel, guys, and smash the like button on all my videos. And yeah, if you want to follow me on social media, all the links for all my social medias can be found in the comment section of this video. That's my Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and my Twitter. If you want to get in contact with me, the best way is via my Instagram. Just follow me there and you can send me like a voice note or a message and I'll get back to you. So maybe I should start off with how the protest went. So I got into Belfast quite early that morning and I was walking about, went to McDonald's, then I met them all outside a hotel in the Belfast city centre. And there was a good load of them. There was I would say there was hundreds of them anyway, possibly. I'm really bad at looking at a crowd and telling you how many people's in it. There was a lot of them. But what they were telling me is that there could have been more. And but there was a lot of them anyway. So we're sitting outside the hotel and they have all the banners and all the stuff. And it was really peaceful from the get-go. There was never one time that I felt like something was going to kick off, because there was nothing to really kick off about. There was no violence. Everybody was respectful on the street. Everybody showed me respect, from all the travellers, all the different travellers that were there. And they showed Belfast respect. That's the main thing. They showed the place that they were at respect. And I have to say that now because I think that's one thing that people, I was on TikTok, there was a lot of comments when I was live streaming on TikTok, there was a lot of comments that I didn't agree with, and it was just like, there is definitely a sort of a racism towards these people. There's definitely racism. I don't know if you would call it racism, I don't know what it is, but there's definitely people's view on them isn't the best. A lot of people's views on the traveling community isn't the best. I can say now that they were 100% fine with me, very direct with me. If somebody didn't want to go on camera, they just said to me and that was it. Big Joe was there and Paddy Doherty was there. And as I say, guys, I could have put the phone or the camera into Big Joe's face and just hounded him for interviews and get his views on stuff. And I could have done the same to Paddy Doherty, but it didn't, because my job that day was to cover the protest, to prove to the world that it was a peaceful protest. And I think I showed that. You've seen the videos anyway. I don't need to go into all the little details, but what I want to say to you is what I noticed was, and I don't know if this is because of, if this is standard for protests, but they had riot vans, armoured trucks outside the courthouse where the protest was going to be. And I find this quite strange because I've been to a few protests now in Belfast. I've been to 2, I think, and I've never seen armoured trucks. Now, I don't know if it's because they brought them down because it was the travelling community, or if it was because, I don't know. But I find that the only thing that actually made the thing look hostile was the fact that the police put 2 armoured trucks right beside where the travelling men, women and kids were, and I was. And they didn't need to do that. They could have parked them round in another street, and if needed, they could have brought them round. But they actually parked them right outside the courthouse where the protest was happening. And I thought to myself, from a distance, this looks hostile, but it's not. And the only thing that's making it look hostile is the armoured trucks. Now, all in all, the police just sort of stayed away from us. But I was speaking to William, and William said he had a conversation the night before with the police, and they went and told them that they were going to give them an hour between 10 and 11 to protest outside the courthouse. But whenever they got there, one of the cops says you can protest for as long as you want, and that's the right thing. Because when William told me he was only given an hour, I says, no, they don't give you a time. You can protest for as long as you want. Or there'll be no need, then what's the point of protesting? That's the whole point of a protest, is you can protest for as long as you want, as long as you're not being violent or anything like that, disrupting the peace. And it was a very, very peaceful protest. And I find that a lot of people came up to me, a lot of the traveling community came up to me and says, will this do any good, Ronan? Will this do any good? And I said, well, I don't know. I don't have the answer for you. But it's better than doing nothing. And getting to speak to the guys and the girls and everybody involved in the scenario, I realized one thing, that it was an injustice. And I'm going to get into now why it's an injustice. So it doesn't matter that young Joe Joyce was a traveller. I think this is what people are doing now. They can't differentiate who a man is, or what's the correct term to use, how a man identifies to him just being a human. Doesn't matter if young Joe Joyce is a traveller. It doesn't matter if he's a Protestant. It doesn't matter if he's a Catholic, a Muslim. It doesn't matter what he is. It doesn't matter who he is. Under the law of the land, he is judged the same way as the rest of us. And that is equality for everybody, especially in a courtroom. And the way I see it is, three men, I think it was three men, somebody said to me six, but it was three men came to his house with weapons to attack him. Joe hit a non-lethal blow to the legs, and unfortunately, it was a 2-inch cut, hit a main artery, or maybe I'm wrong about that, but it was a 2-inch cut and something happened, and the man later died in hospital. It has to be, I don't know the correct term for this, but there has to be no doubt whatsoever that it was murder for it to be a murder charge. And this is where the injustice part comes in. There's definitely doubt that it was murder. Within 2 hours, they made a verdict that this person was guilty of murder, not manslaughter, murder. And whenever I was speaking to the travellers, I asked them, I says, look, do you think he should just get away with it without any sort of punishment whatsoever? And they says, some of them said, well, it's self-defense. If somebody came into my house and I with weapons, then I hit them with a weapon and one of them died, then that's not my fault, is it? Which is understandable. But some of them says, well, we understand that it's manslaughter to self-defense, but under no circumstances is it murder. It wasn't premeditated murder. It wasn't murder of any kind. He didn't intend to murder anybody. It's manslaughter. And it's clear manslaughter. And if Joe wasn't young Joe Joyce, the bare knuckle boxer, young Joe Joyce, the traveller, and it was just Joe Joyce, the average man in Ireland, he probably would get manslaughter. So is this a case of persecution against the travelling community? Has Ireland found itself in a scenario once again where there's a hierarchy looking down on another sect or form or religious or different kind of human being? Is this what it is? I'm asking the question. But under no circumstances is that murder. He didn't intend to kill him. He went for the legs. When a cop is right, so for instance, I'm going to give you an example here. When a cop is sent out and they're given their orders, a non-lethal shot would be to the leg, below the waist, preferably not the bollocks, but below the waist. They give that order because they don't want the person to die. There's less chance of that person dying. A non-lethal shot would be to the legs. Hence, Joe threw a non-lethal shot to the leg with some type of a weapon when he himself was being attacked by 3 people with weapons. It doesn't matter about what happened before. It doesn't matter what happened after. What matters is what happened in that moment. And three people came to him, and he retaliated with what he thought to be a non-lethal blow to the legs, which the police deem and the army deemed to be a non-lethal blow. Hence why these people, like the professionals, the police and the army, would shoot people in the legs because it's considered non-lethal. So he hit this person a non-lethal blow in the legs, and unfortunately that person died, and that should never be forgotten. And we can't forget about the family that are grieving after they've lost a son, a brother, a nephew, a friend. That can never be forgotten. This isn't what it's about. But it's not murder. And there's a lot of things in this case that I find very shocking. A lot of things that I've looked into, and the family haven't told me this. They haven't went near me with this. This is other people that I'm speaking to now that said to me about the judge. It was his first murder trial, and apparently it could have possibly been an all Protestant jury. And what does that mean? What does an all Protestant jury mean? Well, Northern Ireland, the north of Ireland's had its troubles between Protestants and Catholics. Uh, a Protestant would be the majority of the time a unionist, a loyalist, a pro-British sort of advocate for Northern Ireland. They want to stay in the United Kingdom. A Catholic would be a Republican, a nationalist, somebody who wants a united Ireland. And that's the trouble in Northern Ireland. Some of them want to stay in the UK, and others want them to be a part of a united Ireland. And that's okay. Everybody has a right. We live in a diplomatic society, and everybody has a right to an opinion and to vote in a democratic society. But in certain scenarios, like in the past, if a Catholic, a nationalist, an Irish nationalist was up in court and it was an all Protestant jury, then people wouldn't be in favour of the nationalist, the Catholic nationalist, the Irishman. So they would give him a more harsher, or her a more harsher sentence. And is this negligence from the court system in regards to Joe, or is it more sinister in the fact that it could be actual persecution against the travelling community and against Joe because he's a traveller? I don't know. I don't have the answers, but it's looking like it's one of them two, or maybe both. Maybe Joe was hit with a double whammy of negligence to the case because it was the judge who was his first murder trial and a jury that was biased against him. I don't know. I don't have a clue. Apologies if you can hear noises in the background. I'm sort of recording this on my phone. When I got a chance, I wanted to make this video, so I don't know. But I'm telling you now that isn't murder. That's manslaughter. If a judge went in there and says, well, look, 3 people came, or 3 to 6 people, how many ever it was, came to your house, and you retaliate and somebody died, I'm going to give this man, or the jury says, we're going to give this man, we're going to let him walk free because he just acted in self-defense. I wouldn't even question that. I would say, well, okay, I can understand why they've done that. If they give them manslaughter, I would say, well, I can sort of understand that. But murder is clear red flags. What's going on here? Guys, it took the jury 2 hours to come to this decision. That's unheard of. 2 hours for a man that was protecting himself from others. Unless there's something I'm missing here. But as I say, we're not talking about what happened hours before the incident or hours after the incident. We're talking about the incident itself. People came to his house with weapons to hurt him. He retaliated with a weapon. If he hadn't have, he probably would be dead. And he hit the person with a non-lethal blow. He didn't go for the head, the chest. He went for below the waist. A non-lethal blow that the police would use or the army would use if they're trying to just get control of somebody. So it's not murder. It's definitely 100% not murder. So for all the people in the chats, they're saying that it's murder. It doesn't matter if you don't even like the traveling community. It doesn't matter if you, but this is, what if it's your son or your daughter or somebody or your friend or your dad, and you just allow this to slide, and it just snowballs, and then next minute it's not persecution against the traveling community, it's persecution against, I don't know, Protestants, English people, Muslims, Catholics, and so on. So we have to make sure to nip this in the bud now, so it doesn't happen and it doesn't snowball and get bigger and bigger. And next minute we're just living in a corrupt society where anything goes in the court system, kangaroo court. So it's very crucial that we get these things right. It 100% that should have been thrown out of once. I don't understand why there isn't a retrial. The fact that it took 2 hours to come to a decision that a man was guilty of murder when he didn't, when he hit somebody in the leg and they accidentally died, deserves a retrial. And I'm not looking at young Joe Joyce as a traveller. I'm looking at young Joe Joyce as a man. And I see nothing but him. Whatever else he is in his life, that's fine. But I'm looking at him as a man. It wouldn't matter, you know. So that's my views on the situation. And remember, guys, smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell if you haven't already. And go follow me on all my social medias, guys. You can find all the links for all my social medias in the comment section of this video. And if you want to get in contact with me, use my Instagram, and all the links are found in the comment section of this video and the description too. But that's my views on it, guys. Big up to everybody, and peace.